Om Namo Bhagavate Sudevaya Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Krishnaya Bhutri Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswate Devi Gauravani Pratarine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschat Desatarine Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Srivasadi Gauru Bhakta Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Mukam karoti vachanam, Pangum langaite girim, Yatkupatam ham vande, Shri Gurun Dinatarine. So today we'll see shloka number 24 of chapter 4. Title of the chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. So let us chant the shloka. Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir
Brahma Arpana Brahma Havir
Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam
Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam
Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam
Brahmaiva Tene Gantavyam
Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir
Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam
Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam
Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam
Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam
Brahma Karma Samadhina.
Brahma Karma Samadhina.
Please chant the shloka.
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavi Brahmagno Brahmanahatam Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina.
Brahma Arpana Brahma Havir Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahmarpanam Brahmavir Brahmagno Brahmana Hutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina
Brahmarpanam Brahmahavir Brahmagno Brahmanahutam Brahmaiva Tena Gantavyam Brahma Karma Samadhina.
Thank you. So, translation and purport. A person who is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness is sure to attain the spiritual kingdom because of his full contribution to spiritual activities in which consummation is absolute and that which is offered is of the same nature. Purport. How activities in Krishna consciousness can lead one ultimately to spiritual goal is described here. There are various activities in Krishna consciousness and all of them will be described in following verses. But for the present, just the principle of Krishna consciousness is described. A conditioned soul entangled in material contamination is sure to act in material atmosphere. Yet he has to get out of such an environment. The process by which conditioned soul can get out of material atmosphere is Krishna consciousness. For example, a patient who is suffering from disorder of bowel due to overindulgence in milk product is cured by another milk product, namely curd. The materially absorbed conditioned soul can be cured by Krishna consciousness as set forth here in the Gita. The process is generally known as yajna or activity simply made for satisfaction of Vishnu or Krishna. The more the activities of material world are performed in Krishna consciousness or for Vishnu only, the more atmosphere become spiritualized by complete absorption. The word Brahman, means spiritual. The Lord is spiritual. The rays of the transcendental body are called Brahma Jyoti, the spiritual effulgence. Everything that exists is situated in that Brahma Jyotir. But when Jyotir is covered by illusion, Maya, or sense gratification, it is called material. This material veil can be removed at once by Krishna consciousness. Thus, the offering of for the sake of Krishna consciousness, the consuming agent, such as an offering or contribution, the process of consumption, the contributor, and the results are all combined together. Brahman, or the absolute truth. The absolute truth covered by Maya is called matter. Matter dovetailed for the cause of absolute truth regains its spiritual quality. Krishna consciousness is the process of covering the illusionary consciousness into Brahman, or the Supreme. When the mind is fully absorbed in Krishna consciousness, it is called, said to be in samadhi or trance. Anything done in such transcendental consciousness is called yajna, or sacrifice for the absolute. In that condition of spiritual consciousness, the contributor, the contribution, the consumption, the performer or leader of performance, and the result or ultimate gain, everything becomes one in the absolute or supreme Brahman. That is the method of Krishna consciousness. So, here in the last shloka, yesterday shloka, Krishna told Arjuna that you should act for yajna. And if you act for yajna, then your all the activities will merge into transcendence. So here Krishna is telling how this yajna is done. So here we see the Brahma word is repeated many times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times this word is coming. So the meaning of this word is actually spiritual in nature. So Srila Prabhupada mentioned in the purport that everything is spiritual if we apply it properly. So, if Krishnastu Bhagavan Sayam Sarva Karana Karanam, so if Krishna is the reason or the cause of all causes, so Krishna is also the reason of existence of this material world. So, in that sense, if we have a proper spiritual consciousness, then we can see this material world also part of Krishna in his Brahma Jyoti. So, we say this is also Krishna's energy. But for that, our consciousness has to be spiritual consciousness. How that can be achieved is thinking of Krishna and using or utilizing all the things that we have with us or around us for the purpose of yajna or for the purpose of Vishnu. That consciousness, everything becomes spiritual. So, very simple example if we have to see um, sunlight. If we say the sun globe is there, okay, the sun globe is there, the sun itself, the sun planet, the sun god is also there, planet is there, it's illuminating, the sun rays are coming. So if in the morning when we see the sunrise, if you have seen the sunrise, before the sun rays come, little bit light comes, and as the sun comes up, everywhere the sun's rays go and they pervade all the everything around us. So maybe initially, if you are on a flat surface, you can see the sun coming from mountain. If you see, it will cover only certain area around the mountain. On the backside or the distant place which is far distant from the sunrise place, maybe still in dark. But as the sun comes up, it covers all the area. I mean, everywhere the light is there. So then we can see that there it was in the dark was there, but as the sun came up, everything was covered by sun. How it covered everything? In form of rays, or in form of light. So only purpose, or only thing that will remain dark. So if the sun rays are there, full sunny day is there. If you remain in house, closed your windows with black curtains, everything, then in your house it will be dark and still you will need a light inside your house. If you close all the windows and no sunlight is coming inside, then you can be in darkness. Mm. But in the same house, if you open the windows, if you open everything, the sun rays will come and all the room and air will be overtaken by the sun rays and the light. So we say that sun rays has pervaded all this universe. Right? So this is one localized example of sun in one universe. But Krishna is the cause of all the universes. So everything that exists around us in this universe or in the other universe is the part of Krishna's energy. So if you have this consciousness, then whatever activity we do, it changes its nature from material to spiritual, because then we know, that is the transcendental knowledge, that everything belongs to Krishna and everything is for Krishna, is nothing for me. So when we have this consciousness, then whatever activity we do, that becomes Brahma, or that becomes spiritual. So this is what Krishna is telling Arjuna, that if you have such a consciousness, so Krishna is telling Arjuna to fight, but how he should fight. He should not get attached to the result of the war, but he should fight because Krishna wants him to fight. And he should be fixed. He should be karma phala tyaga, sangha tyaga, and free from duality, loss or victory. He should just do his duty. And work for yagya, work for Vishnu, Vishnu's satisfaction, without considering anything. Then you will not get entangled in this world. So here Krishna is telling how we can do this. So if we can have this consciousness, then Krishna gives like a yagya. When we do yagya, a priest is there. A priest is using some spoon, and then the priest is using some ingredients, like the fire is there. In the fire, what he puts butter or ghee. He puts some rice. He puts some other things, right? And those are burned into the fire, and so the fire consumes it. So that's what we say yagya in physical terms. So when you have consciousness that everything is part of Krishna and everything exists because of Krishna, then in that consciousness, if you do the yagya, then the person or the priest who is doing the yagya, the instruments that he is using, like spoon or stick, anything, and the ingredients that he is using, and the fire in which he is giving, everything becomes spiritual. And the result of that yagya, when you do a yagya, there should be some result. But if you think that result of that yagya is also for Krishna, then that result also becomes spiritual. So this is a gross example. So when we say of our regular duties, so when we do the work, say I do my work, right? I do my job. So when I do my job, I use my body, I use my time, I work there. Mm. So I sacrifice my time. I use my this body as an instrument to carry out the job. So I myself is a doer. Then I this my body, my intelligence are the instruments. Then I use my time. I use my power of thinking as oblations. And what is the fire of work? And what is the result of that? I get salary. Yes, cross example I am giving. So if I think that this body is given to me by Krishna, my intelligence is also born. I can increase my intelligence by reading the books. But ultimately, after reading books, also I understand something by what I already have. So I already have intelligence. That is, I am using to study the books. So that intelligence is given by Krishna. The job that I have now is also given by Krishna. The family that I have now is given by Krishna. The result that will come to me is, say, my salary. So my salary is also gift of Krishna. And so the result of that salary, how I want to use it. Okay, I want to use it for my family, to engage them in Krishna conscious activities. I want to use it for my son's education, so that he starts earning, he stands on his own, and he also use his body and his family for Krishna consciousness. Then I use some part of my income directly into Krishna service by donating to temple, or by serving the devotees, gifting the devotees. So in this case, all the activities that I do as my job also becomes a yajna. And when my consciousness is totally focused on Krishna and Krishna's mercy, then everything becomes spiritual. So that's the theme of this verse. So whatever you arpan, you give, is Brahma. Whatever havi, butter you give, that becomes Brahma. Mm. Brahmagno, so Agni becomes spiritual. Brahmano Hutam, what is offered, that becomes spiritual. Brahmeva Tena Gantavyam, so everything results goes into Brahman. And Brahma Karma Samadhina, and the person becomes situated in spiritual platform. So everything that we have can be converted into spiritual by our proper consciousness. But if the same job, I get the money and I start using for my own enjoyment completely, without thinking of God or without seeing God's hand, if I start using my money and everything for my own satisfaction, then that becomes material consciousness, where I am trying to enjoy the fruits. So then everything that we discussed just now will become material. So it depends on the spiritual consciousness. So everything that we saw, the example of sun, how sun pervades everything, and by its sun rays we can say that everything becomes light when it is in front of sun. But if it is not in front of sun, it's inside, it is in dark. So that darkness remaining in one room, dark room, that we define as our sense gratification. So we remain in dark, we are not in light. So what is the way? Open the windows, come out, then we are in light. So we change our consciousness from darkness to light, and then whatever the activities and things we do in this world become spiritual. So Krishna is telling Arjuna that you work in this consciousness. You work as an yajna. You work as I want you to fight. You fight without getting attached to anything. And that way you will not get attached by the um, results. So Krishna will tell more to Arjuna and to us how this different yajnas or offerings are done by different people in this world. That we will see in the shlokas from tomorrow. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. So I hope this shloka is little bit clear now, because it's very interesting shloka, and it gives us the hope that by our fixing of mind on Krishna and Vishnu, and by having a proper consciousness, we can still do lot of bhakti in by remaining in this body, and we can transcend this body. Right? That's the purpose of this body, why we have given this body. Thank you very much. So, any comments, any additions, or any mistakes that I have done, please feel free to share. Hare Krishna. Okay, so thank you very much for joining the Bhagavad Gita class on this day of Valentine. So, our main Valentine is Krishna. We have to work for him, we have to love him also from our heart, and then he loves back. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Take care, everyone.
Hare Krishna. Thank you so much.
Hare
Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you so
Thank
much.
you.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, thank you.
For joining. Hare Krishna.